Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we will answer the question, is X58 still viable in 2020? So in a recent video we checked out this mainboard, $60 from AliExpress with triple channel memory, and yeah, not too bad. But in this video we will also talk about some other parts. We've got 6-core processor, 24 or 12 gigabytes of RAM in triple channel configuration. Also, I got some really good feedback from the last video, so we will have a look at getting M.2 to work and also a SATA 3 PCI Express controller. We've got 2 video cards that I will play around with. And yeah, so in this video we will dig a little bit deeper. We will test a few games and at the end, of course, a conclusion. Is this platform still worth going for, or is there something better out there for you? So we have a bundle here. You're looking at $60 for the mainboard, $20 gets you a 12 gigabyte memory kit, and another $20 gets you a 6-core processor. So all up, you're looking at only around $100 US. Now, prices for the mainboard seem to have gone up a little bit, and that will actually do play a part in the conclusion. Also, I've been playing with 2 processors, which you can get for around $20–25. This one is clocked a little bit faster by 100 megahertz. These are the 2 CPUs I bought from AliExpress. We've got the Xeon X5670 and X5675. That one runs at 2.93 gigahertz. This one is clocked a little bit higher, 3.06 gigahertz. In games, this isn't going to make much of a difference, but if they're priced similar, then just get the faster one. Both of these are built on a 32 nanometer process with a 95 watt TDP, so temperatures are actually pretty good, and they have 6 cores and 12 threads. Unfortunately, both of these are lacking the AVX CPU instructions, so that means software that requires those CPU instructions will unfortunately not work on these processors. The platform is simply too old. I got a question about virtualization, and there is a BIOS option and it's enabled by default, so I just assume that with these processors you can use virtualization. And here we have the mainboard. So this one is from Huananchi, and I got it from AliExpress for $60 US, including free shipping. Nice looking mainboard, attractive, and what they do is they recycle chipsets from old server mainboards and then build brand new motherboards around them in order to bundle them with used Xeon and server memory. So we have the socket 1366 here. An active cooler. The fan is fairly quiet. Over the video card I couldn't really hear it. I used a thermal gun to measure the VRMs, running Cinebench R20 around 50 degrees, so that's perfectly fine. Triple channel memory is here. We have 2 PCI Express 2.0 16X slots, so you can run Crossfire. There's a PCI Express 1X and there's a PCI slot. We have a 4-pin fan connector here, and there are some PWM options in the BIOS. There's a 3-pin fan connector here and over there. We're getting 6 SATA ports. These are unfortunately only SATA 2. We have headers here for front audio, 2 USB 2 headers and 1 USB 3 headers. There's a postcode to show you if the memory is faulty or any other issues like that. You can connect a PC speaker here, clearing the CMOS jumper is there, and the front panel header to your case is right there. At the back we've got 2 PS2, 6 USB 2, 2 USB 3, gigabit Ethernet and audio, and the audio and gigabit Ethernet are provided by chips from Realtek. For memory we have 3 modules of DDR3 registered ECC or server memory. We have 24 gigabytes of RAM here. You're looking around $40, but for $20 you can get 12 gigabytes of RAM, and that's a nice amount for games. Now I had a look at the BIOS. The processor supports a RAM speed of up to 1333. You can't force it to a lower speed, but there's no reason to do that. I got a question, can you configure the RAM timings? And unfortunately there was no option in the BIOS to do that. The RAM timings being used are 99924. I'm using a 500 gigabyte SSD. Unfortunately the SATA ports are SATA 2. So I got asked to try out different options. Here we have a M.2 NVMe on a PCI Express adapter. This works on X59, for example. Unfortunately, on this platform, it doesn't work. It's not detected whatsoever, and I tried both slots. So I tried this here. This is a PCI Express SATA 3 adapter with an AS Media chipset. The good news is the SSD gets detected. You can boot from it, so that's working fine. I ran a benchmark, and unfortunately the read performance only improved slightly. The biggest gain was with the writing performance. It went up to 400 megabytes per second, but the read performance didn't improve that much, but still it's an improvement. I also got a few suggestions to get the RX 5700 working with this mainboard. I had a look in the BIOS. Unfortunately, there was no option for secure booting. I just couldn't get the RX 5700 to make the system boot. So I guess the RX 500 series is the last Radeon series that will work with this mainboard. So we're using the RX 580. This is the 8GB version. The chipset on this mainboard is the Intel 5520, and we also have the ICH 10R, which should support RAID. Now I went into the option and changed the SATA option to RAID. Unfortunately, the usual Intel BIOS splash screen where you can configure a RAID array didn't appear, so this might also be a feature that's actually not implemented. And once again, the sleep mode function doesn't work. For cooling, we're using a Deepcool Gamax 300 with heat pipes. Works really well. And once again, I'm using a thermal pad instead of thermal paste, and we're getting pretty decent temperatures. The two CPUs we're working with today only have a TDP of 95 watts, so cooling is not an issue. We're using a 750 watt power supply from Thermaltake, sitting idle on the desktop. My power meter for the entire system measured 58 watts, running Cinebench R20, 134 watts, and running some games I saw 260 watts. I also got asked if I could put together some benchmarks comparing this platform with some of the other Chinese mainboard bundles that we looked at in past videos. So this platform here with the Xeon X5670 in Cinebench R15 we're getting 715, and in Cinebench R20 we're getting 1502, and that is very comparable to the Socket 2011 V2 platform, and also comparable to the Socket 1356 platform. The platform that's weaker is definitely LGA 775. We're getting a much lower score. And the other platform that's faster is the 2011 V3 with the Turbo Boost hack. We're getting much higher Cinebench scores here, but that platform also costs a little bit more. So basically 2011 V3 is a lot faster, but you're also paying a premium. LGA 775 is slower, can be had for a lower price. So really this platform, the X58, goes against the 2011 V2 platform and against 1356, and that comes down to features, compatibility, noise, price, that sort of stuff. And that's a discussion for the end of the video. And now finally, let's have a look at some games. First up, a game that runs really well on weaker CPUs. It is Strange Brigade, which uses the Vulkan API. We have 1080p with high details, and we're getting, around 100 FPS, so that's really nice. And if we look at the MSI Afterburner information, we can see that the GPU limits the performance in this game. And I couldn't try a faster GPU because the RX 5700 doesn't let the system boot. So I tried 720p, and we can see the performance increases. So that's something we can see in quite a few games, that GPU like the RX 580 can still hold back this system. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is next, 1080p, high details, DirectX 12 option, and once again we can see the GPU being at a very high load at 1080p in this scene, around 66 FPS. So I reconfigured the game to run at 720p and the FPS increases to 92 FPS. So the reason I'm showing this is just so you're aware that with this video card and at 1080p we can't show the full potential of this platform. There is performance to be had. I'm not sure which GPUs are actually faster than an RX 580 and still work on a legacy BIOS mainboard. So yeah, if you know, let me know. That could be of interest. So yeah, these two games, Strange Brigade and Shade of the Tomb Raider, they should run perfectly fine on this platform. Hitman 2 is next. I dialed in ultra details with the DirectX 12 render and I tried 2 levels. New Zealand is first. We're getting between 40 and 60 FPS. So not silky smooth, but also not terrible, and you might be able to play around with the detail settings and get some better performance. And the Miami level, that one can be quite stressful, and surprisingly the CPU didn't do too bad, between 50 and 60 FPS, despite all of the NPC characters running around on the screen. I picked up the new flight simulator and it does run, and the GPU seems to work really hard. The fans went over 3000 RPM. I think it's the first game that gave the RX 580 such a good workout. And yeah, we can also see a difference in performance between 1080p and 720p. I can't remember which details I used. I believe I used the high details or medium, something like that. It does run, but it's not the smoothest game. So in this case, it might actually be the video card that's holding things back, but it's hard to say. Yeah, if you want a silky smooth experience in Flight Simulator, I think this platform is showing its age. Dirt Rally 2 is next. This game runs fine, high details. We're getting between 90 and 100 FPS. So racing games could be a genre that works well on this platform. I also tried Fortnite. This game is quite stuttery. We have epic details, but I also tried high details. It didn't make much of a difference. There are a lot of frame time spikes and it's just not a smooth experience. Fortnite used to be a game that ran on everything, but it has evolved into something that actually needs a fairly decent processor. I have selected the DirectX 12 option. I found that this runs better on weaker systems. I also tried Just Cause 4. Here we run with high details, and also another game that doesn't quite hit 60 FPS on this platform, but it's not terrible, but also do note that this is in the beginning of the game, not much is happening. I always try some older games. Here we have Dirt 3, one of my favorite racing games, 1080p with 4x anti-aliasing, and we're getting above 100 FPS. So older games will work perfectly fine on this platform. This platform is also legacy compatible. If you want to build a Windows XP retro gaming PC or something that runs with Vista and Windows 7, including 32-bit, then this is also an area where such a system could actually make sense, because as good value as a new Ryzen system is, I believe they don't support 32-bit software anymore, or don't let you install Vista and Windows 7, something like that. So no, definitely not XP. So if that's something that interests you, then this platform could also be nice checking out. And finally, does it run Crysis? We have both games, the Crysis original and the remastered. Let's have a look at the original Crysis. And yeah, it does run it, but once again, not that well. This is with very high details. And the Crysis Remastered does even worse, seems to be running even slower, despite them saying they've optimized the game for modern CPUs, so I'm not quite sure what's happening there. And that's also with very high details. So yeah, does it run Crysis? Yeah, it runs it, but not well, and not a platform I would recommend to run Crysis on. It's just lacking the high CPU frequency that this game demands. So guys, we had a look at all the parts and we checked out the performance. Now it's time to talk about the value and whether or not this is something you should go for. So let's start with someone looking at buying a bundle. you don't have any existing parts lying around, you're looking at a bundle, should you get X58? And my recommendation is you should not. So firstly, with X58, with this platform, a couple of things don't work. So we get SATA 2 instead of SATA 3. You can't use the RX 5700 video card because it's got a legacy BIOS. We do get USB 3, which is nice. The sleep mode didn't work, and also the processor is missing the AVX CPU instructions, so a lot of games will, a lot of software will not run. And if you look at the prices, X79, you're looking at maybe between $20 and $30 premium for the entire bundle. You're getting similar performance, so the performance is actually not that bad. If you look at the Cinebench scores, the performance is not too bad, but with X79 you can use the RX 5700, you get AVX, you get SATA 3, and you also get NVMe, which is also a differentiator. So in terms of buying a bundle and new parts, X58, if you're curious, if you want to buy something cheap to just muck around, or if you have some existing parts lying around, like an i7 CPU or existing Xeon on some existing RAM, then maybe this makes sense. But if you're starting from scratch, and then X79 is definitely a lot more appealing. LGA 775 I would avoid, unless you really can't afford anything else. The performance is just really quite significantly lower. And 2011 V3, the platform with the Haswell CPUs and DDR4, that one is significantly faster because you can do a turbo boost unlocking all the cores to run at the highest turbo boost multiplier. You will get significantly better performance. That platform uses DDR4 memory, but you can use slow RAM, 2400 megahertz, which is not very desirable, so you might get a good price. And yeah, so that's really the conclusion. Yes, you can pick this up for around $100. You get the mainboard, 12 gigabytes of RAM and a 6-core CPU. Performance is not too bad, but the entire platform is simply because of age, lacking a lot of features that you can get with X79, and the price differences are not that great. Also, power consumption. The 2620 V2 is very power efficient on X79 and has a high IPC, so it performs better with a lower clock speed, which is nice. Also, access to processors on this platform, I believe 6-core 12 threads is the best it can do. There are some unlocked CPUs, but they have 130 watt TDP, which is extremely hot, so your VRMs will get a nice workout and you will need a better cooler as well. Whereas on 2011 V2, you can get 8-core, 10-core, 12-core CPUs. There's just a lot more choice. There are unlocked CPUs which perform fantastic. So yeah, all around the X79 platform is more fleshed out, has more features for a price that's not too much higher. You can even get mainboards for $40 and $50 if you're willing to forego the NVMe, the USB 3, and dual channel memory. So yeah. So guys, that is my conclusion and my opinion on the X58 platform and using it in 2020. Now I know this platform is very popular and a lot of you really love it. But yeah, these are just my thoughts. Also, there's a difference if you're using an Asus or Gigabyte mainboard where you can overclock through the B clock up to past 4 gigahertz, and then you will get significantly better performance. This mainboard can't do that, but it does support an unlocked CPU, I have been told. I have bought one, and if you're interested enough, we can do a quick video, maybe a bonus video, checking out an unlocked CPU, and especially how the temperatures affect it and the VRM temperatures, because it's a 130 watt CPU, and of course how far can we overclock, because there are no voltage options. You can't raise the voltage, so you're usually limited with whatever voltage they have implemented in this board, unless you're happy to doing a hardware volt mod or something like that. So yeah, there you have it. Decent performance, decent price, but the features are lacking, and you can get more features with the 2011 V2 platform, wider range of CPUs and so on. And yeah, now let me know, what do you think? Any feedback, anything we should be checking out in the future, do let me know. As always, I'll put some links down below in the description if you are interested in some of these parts. And yeah, I look forward to doing the next video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video with your friends. And yeah, I read every comment. So looking forward to hearing from you, and I shall see you soon with another video.